This is classic Philadelphia sports, and you are and we are watching it with our very eyes. 5 straight losses for the Philadelphia Phillies. Gentlemen, you probably remember 1997, Philadelphia Flyers at Detroit, down 3-0 in the Stanley Cup Finals. And then Flyers head coach Terry Murray said, "We are basically in a choking situation." That's what I would call it. The coach said that. Flyers went on to be swept 4-0. This is not the Stanley Cup Finals, but there is a playoff berth on the line for the Philadelphia Phillies. And games 151 through 155 have all been L's, and now they're in the 7-7 situation. 7 games left. Magic number is still 7. Ricky Bo, you have check marks on the bottom of your score sheet. This is, I don't even know where to go. These guys should be doing it against a lackluster team like the Cubs.
Can't judge heart. Remember that to start with. That analytics, you can't judge it, can you, with analytics? So I look at it this way. Phillies are getting runners on base all series long. Runners on base, runners here, runners there. The only problem is they couldn't reach home plate. And that tells me that there's pressure. When this Phillies team is under pressure right now, they're squeezing the bat too tight. They're not getting good pitches to hit. And if they are, they're not squaring the baseball up. There's a lot of issues going on right now. You cannot, if you are a playoff team, you cannot go into Chicago and play this bad Cubs team and lose 3 in Chicago. You just can't do it. And to me, it disgusts me.
Yeah.
Because I had a real belief in this team, and I'm not kidding you, and you know it. You've been around me. I thought this team was going to be better than in years past. I thought those years past were done. Well, I was wrong.
Yep. Ben, take a look at these numbers before we get your thoughts, because they are searching for a win. Your Philadelphia Phillies, they've lost 5 straight games, 3-10 in the last 13. They've lost 7 straight road games, 10-14 record in September, and 0-6 against the Cubs this season. Tied for the Brewers now for the 3rd wild card spot, with the Brewers hosting Miami tonight. So we could go to sleep this evening with the Milwaukee Brewers ahead of the Phillies for that final wild card spot. This is the Phils. We're trying for their 400th win ever at Wrigley Field. Ben, what's the fix?
Well, they're now 26 games under 500 in the last 5 years in September. And that is just uncalled for. Another rough one today. 6 hits today for the Phillies. Bryce Harper, of which had 3. They were all singles today. All 6 hits were singles, just not pounding the baseball like we've seen them do throughout the course of the season. This one stings not a little bit. This one stings a lot. Because as you just said, Michael, I was talking with our producer, Sean Kane, during the game, can you imagine us putting our head on the pillow tonight and the Phillies are out of the playoffs? And it's a possibility. It is a possibility that the Brewers could overtake them tonight for that final wild card spot. I want to say I didn't see this coming, because I agree with Ricky. It's a different feel. It's a different mentality. This clubhouse is a different clubhouse from what we've seen in years past. Unfortunately, it's not turning out any different from what we've seen in years past.
And the one thing that bothers me, how many times did we hear during the season, well, I gave this guy a day of rest, so we're better for the long haul. I gave this guy a couple days off, so we're better for the long haul. You know what I see about the long haul? That's what I see that's going on right now. And it's aggravating.
Yep, it is upsetting.
That was a whole game's worth of work.
Well, we're going to get that back for you. We'll have it flattened out in no time. We've got an iron over there. It's going to work out. Here's Reuben Amaro Jr. from Wrigley Field. Called today's game in the booth with Tom McCarthy. Reuben, a tough one to start, my friend, but I have to. There's no more profane a word in sport than choke. But it looks like that's what's going on here. It looks like a foldo by the Phillies with now 7 games remaining. They've got the bats. The starting pitching has been phenomenal. What would you say here, Reuben?
I mean, there's not a lot of great things you can say, not a lot of positives. You're right about the starting pitching, and the defense played a little bit better today, although they had that mishap in center field with that play by Marsh. But I got to tell you, there's not a lot of positive things to say. They have not had great at-bats. Harper was the only one who really put together any string of at-bats that were decent. Unfortunately, some of the guys in the middle of that lineup, Real Muto, who's been arguably the MVP of the ball club over the second half of the season, is really struggling. He's not seeing the ball very well, and they just haven't been able to come up with the big base hit when they needed it. And it is a concern now. I mean, you have to be concerned. They're just not playing great baseball, and it's a very different team that we saw in August and in July and even parts of June. This is not the same ball club, and they got to pick it up somehow. Hopefully, going to Washington will cure some ills because they played well against them. But the Washington Nationals, they've been swinging the bats. They score some runs, and the Phillies don't score any, they're going to be in trouble.
Reuben, singles are cute and all, but how do you define, or how do you even start to tell us why? Why is there such a power outage on this team right now?
I think what's happening is, and I think I talked a little bit about it during the broadcast, is that I think they're trying to get out in front and trying to pull everything, trying to drive the ball to the pull side. And when these guys have success when they use the middle of the field. And I think that they're just smothering pitches or getting out around them. I saw a couple of swings from Kyle Schwarber today. He had a couple of fastballs down the middle of the plate, kind of working around the ball instead of working through it. And you're seeing that with a lot of guys. It just seems like guys are just taking the opposite field out of their swings. You know, Bryce Harper went back to using the opposite field, and he's gotten a couple of base hits. Got 3 base hits doing it today and a couple yesterday. Hopefully they take a page out of what he's trying to do. But you're right. I think more than anything else, it's about not capitalizing on the pitches that are good pitches to hit, and swinging at pitches that are really out of the zone and pitches that they can't drive. So it's a little combination of problems. And unfortunately, it's happening not just for like 1 or 2 guys. It's happening to almost the entire lineup.
Kyle Schwarber said after yesterday's game, we can't start thinking negative thoughts that'll put them in our head, etc. Sounds like that's already happened. But what do you think's going on in that clubhouse? And if you had a chance to talk to these guys, how would you kind of spur them on?
Again, I mean, to me, it's about trying to enjoy yourself. This is the time of the season that, as a player and as an executive and even as a bat boy, this is the fun time. This is supposed to be the time that you really want to enjoy playing this game, because this is what you play to win. You don't play to play out the season and to go home and go play golf. To me, I mean, the playoff time and having an opportunity to play in the postseason, it doesn't happen very often. When you get this opportunity, you want to try to seize it. And I think that's the take that they should have, is say, hey, this is the fun time of the season. This is not the time where you should be tightening up. This is the time where you should just be enjoying playing and let your abilities take over.
And there is still time for it to be the fun time of the season. We hope they seize the moment. Thank you, my friend. We'll check you tomorrow in D.C. Reuben Amaro Jr. from the booth in Wrigley. The Phillies continue to chase October. They are still alive. They are knotted up, though. We are presented by your Toyota Tri-State Dealers Association. They are knotted up right now. They've got the tiebreaker over the Brewers. That's true. The Brewers play Miami tonight with a win. The Brewers are ahead by a half game over the Phillies in second place behind San Diego. And the Phillies' magic number to clinch a playoff spot remains 7 with 7 to go.
You know what bothers me? We've been talking about what should be said in the clubhouse, and let's blank and go. We've heard that one. How about just go in there and say, you know what, you got nothing to lose. Just go out there and relax, play. Just play the stinking game. What happened to just going out and playing a baseball game and just relaxing and seeing the ball, hitting the ball? How about take all the analytics and throw them out the window for a couple of days, see what happens?
Yeah, there is a moment beyond which it becomes increasingly difficult to project a Phillies postseason appearance. There is. Right now, they are even up. But there's going to come a point if they continue to lose and the Brewers continue to win. And I remind you, they're playing Miami, where it's going to get even tighter around that bat handle than it is right now.
Wait a minute. They're even up right now. But if the Brewers win tonight, okay, that first game tomorrow means everything.
Yep.
That either puts you down a full game or you're even back up, which puts you in the lead.
The Phillies have a game in hand.
That will be the first game tomorrow.
Yep, that'll be the first game tomorrow. Here's Rob Thomson on what happened in Chicago.
You get so much offensive track record on this team. Is it just shocking to see you come in here and get 2 extra base hits and score 3 runs?
Yeah. I thought we'd come in and swing bats a little bit better than we did, and especially with runners in scoring position. The 6th inning, we got first and second, nobody out. That was one that got away from us a little bit. But, we got to turn around here pretty quick.
You getting a little anxious here? I mean, this lead is disappearing and the games are disappearing.
it is what it is. You got to deal with it. You guys got to move forward, and we're getting good pitching. We just need to string some hits together, and we'll be fine.
Did Marsh just misread it, or was it the sun?
The sun. So, and he did have his glasses on, so he went back and he turned, and once he turned around, the ball was right in the sun.
What happened on the Segura that missed the ball for? I know the board said 4 balls, but.
Well, yeah, the board prior to the pitch said 3-1. So this is how he explained it to me. So, and then Maton took that pitch and he kind of started walking towards first base, and the bat boy came out, and then he kind of got confused. And so I talked to him after the inning. I said, what happened? And I knew that the board read 3-1 prior to the pitch. And he said, I just saw the board, and then Maton and bat boy, and I said, well, he said, it's my fault. I said, you're right. I mean, you can't rely on the scoreboard. You just can't. You got to have it in your head. So.
You guys have said a few times that you're in the driver's seat. Obviously, like trying to aspire to a wild card spot is different from having one. And now you guys are tied with the Brewers in the 3rd wild card. So, do you think that this could lead to maybe like a shift in mentality or a different approach, or?
I don't think so. I think take the same approach every day. We've lost some games here, and we've lost the lead on the wild card. So, we got to go out and win games. We got to play and swing the bats, score some runs. I mean, our pitch and our defense have been really good. So we just got to score some runs.
And I know that old adage about, energy, and you're not going to look energetic when you don't hit. And I think there's a lot of truth to it in a lot of ways, but are you seeing even beyond that enough just old-fashioned fight in this team?
I see it. I mean, I hear it on the bench, and I see it on the bench, and guys are upbeat, they're energetic, they're pulling for each other, they're not down. So I like the fight in this club. I really do. It's a good group.
And you get pretty good starting pitching throughout this series. That's going to make it even more difficult to swallow.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way it goes. I thought Ranger was good. He started off, he hit some balls hard off him early, but he settled in pretty good and really started to pitch. And that's Ranger. He doesn't, he bends, but he doesn't break most of the time, and that was really good to see.
How do you try and just get out of this funk by still staying positive and all that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what you're going to do, I mean, just got to keep pushing the idea that we just keep going one day at a time and keep fighting and keep swinging the bats, And it's going to happen. You got to believe it's going to happen.
You got to believe that it's going to happen, says Rob Thomson. I mean, it is what it is, and you got to deal with it, he said. Got to move forward. We're getting good pitching. You string some hits together, and we'll be fine. But they're not fine now. That's the issue.
You can't make stupid plays. Gene Segura, stupid play. You can't sit there and point up at a scoreboard and say, oh, the guy upstairs made a mistake. He told me, I looked up there, it said 3-1. What are you doing, talking to the first baseman so you don't know the count? You should know the count. You're standing over there on first base.
This is not just nothing. This is not just something we're dreaming up. Late season swoons the last 5 years. Go back to 2018, lost 9 straight at the end of September. 2019, 8 of 9 from the 19th through the 26th of September. 2020, lost 7 of their final 8, lost 6 of the final 7 last year. And now they've got a 3-10 record in their last 13 games. And runners in scoring position this series, 2 for 22. 2 for 22, that's a .091 batting average. That would seem to be impossible for a major league group.
As I said last night, the 2 for 16, when he looked at the box score, looked like a typo. And those 2 that they got did not score runs. They were 2 bloops, one by Hoskins, an infield hit by Segura. So, they're just not getting it done right now. They're just not staying behind the baseball. The at-bats are not there. They're not seeing enough pitches. As I said, just 15 pitches per inning is what they saw. We've seen at-bats this year with this lineup, 1 through 9. They're seeing 8 to 10 pitches per at-bat. And today's ball game, they saw 15 for an entire inning.
Yeah.
Well, the first game was the worst.
Yeah, it was 2 hours and
of the
15
series.
minutes long.
There have been points in this season where they've been on pace for 92, 93 wins. Right now, they got 83 wins. They're only 2 wins over 500 status, and I'm not suggesting they're going to lose the remaining games. I hope they can win enough where it still matters. But, you know, when you look at this in total, Ricky Bo,
Yeah.
how is it happening here?
How is it happening? You hit dry spots. They're hitting a really bad dry spot right now. It's uncalled for. It really is. At this point in the season, you have way too many veterans on your team for this to happen. I mean, you've brought in Schwarber, you've brought in Real Muto, you've brought in Harper, you brought in Nicky Singles, and when these guys aren't getting it done, because they're not. I mean, Harper had 3 hits today, all singles, but that's not what you expect from these guys. You expect these guys to have some big hits, some gappers, and I think it goes to what Ben says. You start using the middle of the field, you start hitting the gaps. Then you could run a little bit. Then you could start a little bit of a merry-go-round going around the bases. But you go single, strikeout, pop-up, out. I mean, that's not a way to win ball games.
We mentioned this series, Bryce Harper batted .416, 384 OBP, 3 RBIs. The only 3 runs the Phillies scored were batted in by Bryce Harper. Here he is post-game.
Spiral getting difficult to get out of, almost emotionally. I mean, it would suggest, you know, the wins and losses that it is 5 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, we're still in it. We have 7 games left. We got a road ahead of us, but we got to keep playing, got to keep going. Not have a mindset of losing and, you know, thinking about that. We're going to come in tomorrow ready to play. We got 2 tomorrow, you know, into D.C. and take care of business hopefully tomorrow, 1 game at a time, 1 pitch at a time. Got to be better, of course, and we got to win games. I mean, we're getting late in the season to, you know, into that last week of the season that we need to, you know, pick it up and play our game.
Where do you draw the confidence from that you can turn it around after the way things have been going?
We're a great team in here. We got a lot of great players. You know, Dombrowski put this team together to win games and to get into the playoffs, and you know we need to do that. You know, I think you know Middleton's done his job to put the best team on the field that he can, and Dombrowski does the same thing. So we need to show up and do our job.
How would you describe the mindset in the team right now?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, we just need to you know flush this series and get going into tomorrow.
Is it hard not to think about previous Septembers? And I know this has been different because you guys have had a postseason position here for weeks. Is it hard not to think about those you get, you know, to the end?
Not for me. I mean, personally, you know, I don't think any guy on this team has that mindset of, oh, here we go again. Different group of guys, different team. You know, we're ready to just get on with this series and get going into DC, play the best baseball we can, and you know, we got some work ahead of us, and you know, we know that. But at the same time, we're in this, and we're ready to go.
You guys have 15 straight innings with a runner on base, and just not a big hit there. What do you see? What have you seen from the approaches from the lineup and the chances you guys have had?
Yeah, we just need to be better in all facets of the game. I mean, I think our starting pitching has been great, but our hitting we haven't been hitting on any cylinders as of right now. Like you said, we've had guys on base. We just haven't been able to cash them in, and that needs to change, especially in the next couple days and the next couple games.
Bryce Harper talking post-game, saying we got 7 games left. We got a road ahead of us, but we got to keep playing, got to keep going without the mindset of losing. And right there, we heard Schwarber said it post-game yesterday, without the mindset of losing. It's human nature, but when you keep talking about we're not going to have the mindset of losing, what's going in there is losing.
That's what I'm saying. The actions have to be louder than the words right now. They got to stop. I mean, they're all saying the right things. We want to believe them, but we've kind of heard that over the last, through this losing streak. And it's right now it's kind of in one ear and out the other. They have to start doing it on the diamond. Mm-hmm.